Welcome to Monday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, where I should start, I suppose, by apologising for my inebriated state in yesterday evening's video. That was the reason the video went up late as well. My brain just didn't work and allow me to solve the puzzle in any sort of meaningful time. I am paying for it today, mind you. I have got a dreadful hangover. And I've got to deal with Phistomefel today, and Phistomefel's new puzzle called 10 Line. But I'm looking forward to giving this a try. I was quite amused by the comments on yesterday's video as well, which seemed to suggest that you all wanted to see me try and solve Sudoku on a variety of hallucinogenic substances, LSD, magic mushrooms, and as a man who's never even had a puff of a cigarette, these all seemed quite extreme to me. But I don't think you're going to see that anytime soon. I'm far too much of a nerd. But anyway. Get your head in the game, Simon. Try and shake off the cobwebs. Yeah, this puzzle, obviously, it's by Phistomefel. We know it's going to be amazing. 10 Line. Why is it? Oh, it's called 10 Line because of the rules. I've suddenly realised. I wondered whether there were 10 lines and realised there were far more than that. But this has got an amazingly short rule set. I really, really admire setters that can basically come up with incredibly innovative rules that don't require sort of a whole screed of text to explain. Literally, this is 2 sentences, and apparently it's absolutely brilliant. You won't be surprised to hear we've had it requested about 25 times since its release, which was relatively recently, and I'll give it a go. I think it's only got 4 stars out of 5 for difficulty, which for Phistomefel means it's remarkably approachable, but we'll see what the great man has in store for us in just a second or two. I've got a couple of birthday announcements today, so happy birthday to Joe. You've turned 33 today, I think. Your girlfriend Alicia let us know this, and also to the newlywed Kristen. Now Kristen, I think you've turned 26 today, and you only got married on the 13th of August to Alan, if I'm not mistaken. So I hope Kristen and of course Joe that you have lots and lots of cake today, and many congratulations on your birthdays. Other than that, what else to mention? We've had quite a few requests over the last few days. We've released this free app. It's a 500 to celebrate us reaching 500,000 subscribers on YouTube. There's a free app out there. It's available on Steam, Android, and App Store. And it's got 23 puzzles by some of the great and the good of the Sudoku community, including, of course, Phistomefel. And several of you have requested hints for specific puzzles, although the puzzles do have hints in them. But also, we had lots of requests to say whether we could stream ourselves solving the puzzles, so that you've all got sort of a resource for looking to if you get stuck on them. Now we were thinking about this. We can do this, we think, because the way that we tested the puzzles is Mark and I just divided them up. Because what we don't want to do is to stream a puzzle we've already solved. That seems pretty pointless. So what we're going to do, I think, is to try and work out whether we can come up with a sort of roster of ones I've solved already, ones Mark solved already. Then we'll give each other the other puzzles and come up with a stream on that basis. It might take us a few streams to do it, actually, because 23 puzzles is quite a lot. But if you want to see that sort of thing, do let us know in the comments. And the only other thing we were wondering about with doing that is whether our technology skills are up to it. Because although I can stream from my computer what I'm doing, we're not sure how we'd then stream what's going on Mark's computer when he's solving from my computer. We are literally inept. We were thinking maybe we have to stream a Zoom call or something. But anyway, these are thoughts we were having. and let us know if that's something you want to see. Other than that, what's going on? Well, over on Patreon, we have got our monthly reward. Do have a go at that if you haven't had a go at it already. It's called Linked Sudokus, and you've got to solve a series of puzzles and then send us the solution at the end by the 20th of September to be in with a chance of winning the competition. And of course, we've also got a brand new solve by Mark of a recent listener cryptic crossword. So if you like the cryptic crossword content, do check that out as well. And I've been suggested I try a cryptic crossword that appeared in The Independent recently, so if I get a chance I'll try and record that later today, and that'll be a bonus video on the channel in the next couple of days, hopefully. All that said and done, let me get on with 10 Line by Phistomefel. I will read you the rules. This will not take long. Normal Sudoku rules apply. I can't speak. Adjacent digits along a line must sum to 10 or more, and that's it, believe it or not. So adjacent digits on a line must sum to 10 or more. So those two cells have to sum to 10 or more. Those two have to sum to 10 or more. Those two and those two. So it's a really weird constraint. I've never seen this before. Do have a go at it. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual. But now I get to play. Let's get cracking. Now, I suppose we should start by, let's think about these lines. So what digits are going to be constrained on these lines? I can see that 1 is going to be constrained, because if there's a 1 on a line, it can only go with a 9, because we need to get the two adjacent digits to add up to 10. So 1, so I can put 1 in the first row, can I? Does it have to go here? I think so, because no, it could, hang on a minute, no, it could go there. Oh, that's weird. I thought that was going to be a bit of a generous start from a Phistomefel, but look, you can't put 1 here. Well, no, you could put 1 here, but it wouldn't. It's not forced to go there, because I think it can go here with a double 9. And these 9s wouldn't see each other by the medium of Sudoku, so that looks actually possible. So 1 in the top row, it definitely can't go on a line, one of these little triangles that entirely inhabits a box, because that would require double 9 in the other two squares. We put 1 there, that's got to be 9 now, and so's that, because this needs to add up to 10 at least, and that needs to add up to 10 at least, so that just simply won't work. So 1, I think, is in one of those two cells in the top row. We'll give that a colour to try and remind ourselves about that. I don't like that colour. Can't see the grey beneath the orange. We'll use red instead. Yes, I can see that. What about... Can you put 1 on these big triangles? Can't put 1 there. Okay, where does 1 go in box 5? That's an interesting question. It can't go, I don't think, on either of these big triangles, because if we try and put a 1 here, we've got to double 9 those two, so that those two are adjacently adding up to at least 10, and so are those two, and double 9 in a row won't work. By symmetry, that rules this cell out from being a 1. That can't be a 1 because we'll get double 9 there, and that can't be a 1 because we'll get double 9 there. So I think by symmetry that all of that logic applies to this triangle too. So 1 has to be down this central stripe. If that's a 1, that has to be a 9. So if that's a 1, that couldn't be a 1. So if that's a 1, that's a 1. Although that being a 1 really doesn't do very much. Perhaps that means we have to think about 2 in the top row if that's a 1. 2, let's just think about that for a moment. 2 on one of these lines. If 2 is on a triangle that's in a box, it has to go with 8 and 9 in the other two cells. So 2 is also going to be restricted. Although again, if this was a 2, those could be double 9 or double 8. So where the triangles cross boxes, it gets complicated. Okay, we're going to be able to write 1 into the bottom row, aren't we? 1 can't go here. And... I don't believe it. I should believe it. It's Phistomefel. Okay, no, I can't write 1 into the bottom row. I was just thinking, if one can't go there, it's got to be on a triangle, and therefore it has to be sort of at a triangle that spans 2 boxes, because we're going to need to put 9 on both of the other vertices of the triangle. But that can be a 1, I think, with double 9 here. And I think this can be a 1 with double 9 here. So in the bottom row, we've got 1s in one of those 2 cells. There's not much. Well, obviously if this was a 1 now, that would be a 1 by sort of a weird skyscraper type logic. So that would cause double 9 there, but this one doesn't cause any double 9-age. Ah, okay, so if that's 1, you've got to put double 9 there. That rules this out from being 1. Oh goodness, that would be powerful. So we get 1 there, 1 there, you get double 9 there, double 9 there, and the puzzle will force a 9 into those. I'm sure that doesn't work. Hang on, let me think about that. 9's in all of those positions. What's wrong with that? I don't know. My spider sense is tingling about that, but I can't actually disprove it. Okay, so let me think about this then. So is it... Do we have to think about 2s then? 1 is in one of these positions. So in the bottom... Ah, yes, I see. In the bottom row, the 9s are going to be hypothecated for the 1 triangle. So imagine this was a 1. Both of those will have to be 9. And now, wherever I put 2 in the bottom row, well, now, right, so now 2 in the bottom row is restricted in the sense that it can't go on a triangle that entirely sits within a 3x3 box. Because if I put the 2 here, I have to put 2 digits there that allow this digit or this domino to add to 10, which, because I can't use 9, is going to require double 8, which is clearly going to break the box. So the problem is, I think this could be a 2 with a double 8 here. So if that's a 2, I can go double 8. Otherwise, if that's not the situation, I'd have to put 2 here. And if I put 2 here, in the middle box, 2 has to be on a big triangle, which... Ah, okay, and you can put 2 on a big triangle. That's very annoying. So you can't put 1 on a big triangle, but you can put 2 on a big triangle. Because if you put 2 on it... Ah, you couldn't put 2 on... No, although you couldn't put 2 on this big triangle. Because of these... Oh, no, hang on. I'm going down a whole world of a rabbit hole here. Because we don't know which one of these is 1. So if wherever the 1 goes, it rules 9 out of the big triangle. And in doing that, that big triangle couldn't have a 2 on it anymore. Because if you put a 2 on a big triangle, you've got to pair it up with 8 and 9 in order to allow both adjacencies to add up to 10 or more. But that, I suppose that doesn't prove this can't be a 2. It just says that if this is a 2, it becomes quite complicated and quite forced in the middle box. So really, I'd love to know which one of these was 1 with double 9. And either we're going to have, if that was 1 with double 9, if this was then the 2 rather than this being the 2, we'd have double 8 here. And that... alright, here's something that's interesting. That cell is 2 or 3. Because now, let's think about this. Let's imagine we are in a world where we've put 1 and 2 into the red cells. Then all of the 8s and all of the 9s in row 8 and 9 are hypothecated to those triangles. Now where do I put 3? I now can't put 3 on a triangle that lives in one box, because the only available digit to make that 3, to sum with that 3 to add up to 10 or more, is going to be 7, and I can't put 2 7s in a box. And 8 and 9 are simply impossible to add to the triangle. So 3 would have to go there. And that would put 3 onto one of the big triangles. Oh, I see. And whichever side it was on, it would have to pair up with 7, look. If it's on this side, and this was the disposition of the bottom, these 2 squares now have to be, one of them has to be a 9, one of them has to be a 7. If it's on this side, we're going to have to do 7 and 8, because we can't put 9 next to it. And we need to get up to the height of 10. Whoa, 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 whoa. Right, so let's unwind all this nonsense, because it is nonsense, and conclude that this digit now is either 2 or it's 3. If this is a 1-2 pair, that has to be a 3. If this is not a 1-2 pair, we know the 2 has to go here. So this is always 2 or 3. Now, it doesn't quite work the other way round though, does it? I don't think I can conclude this is a 1-2-3 triple. Because if that was a 2, and these were, well, and I put 1 on one of these, so that's double 9. I don't think I have to put 3 here now, because 3 could partner 7 and 8 on another triangle. That's really strange. Okay, that's annoying though. Alright, so we only get this as being 2 or 3. So we only know in the middle box we have to put 2 or 3 on one of the big triangles. I love this sort of thing. I mean, just haven't had to think like this about a Sudoku before. So, okay. So one of these is double 9, and whichever one it is going to fix the double 9 position in the top row. No, it's not. It's going to fix the 1 position in the top row, but if that's a 1, we don't get to fix the double 9 position. So if this is 1, that rules this out from being a 1 and forces this to be a 1, but that doesn't give us anything in the 9s. If this is 1, this has to be a 1, and then we get 4 9s in the grid and a 9 in one of those. There's always going to be a 2 or a 3 or both on these triangles, which are going to have to pair up with quite large digits. But if, I don't know. Sorry, I'm not quite seeing this now. I don't think I've got nearly the same constraint in the top row, because I only have or do I? Let me just think about that. Where does 2 go in the top row? Now you see, the problem is if that's a 1, I can put 2 on any triangle then. Yeah, it's not nearly as constrained. The top row is not, I don't think, under as much pressure. So it must be something to do with the bottom row. I'm just wondering if we can do this by almost trying to see into the mind of Phistomefel, by which I mean, if you're Phistomefel and you're sitting there in your tower being a genius, you know, and you've just finished your missive to Radagast the Brown, and you're about to embark on new creative things, you are going to You've come up with an idea, haven't you? So if I look at this, you can see that the bottom triangles are awfully symmetrical, as are these triangles. Whereas the top triangles, although they are triangular, they aren't quite symmetrical in the same way. So probably I think the break-in is to do with this, because Phistomefel being Phistomefel, he will have tried to preserve symmetry to the ultimate extent. That's my belief anyway. So what is it about this pattern that is forced? I don't know, is the short answer to that. I can see that... Oh, I might be on the wrong track altogether with this, you know. I might be on the wrong track altogether. I'm actually now wondering if it's about low digits and high digits rather than sort of micro deductions around 1s, 2s and 3s. Because I'm just seeing this cell is low, but that means I've got to put 3 digits onto these 3 triangles, or 4 triangles, that are low. So all of these, not all of the peaks, one of the peaks is, hang on, now I'm confused. Now I've confused myself, and I realise I'm being completely inarticulate in the process. I've got to put... Okay, here's what I'm thinking about. I'm trying to think about how I'm going to allocate whatever this is. Let's make this 2. I've now got to put 1, 3 and 4 in the bottom row somewhere. Now clearly I can't put 1 and 4 on the same arrow, for example, because in the same domino, because they don't add up to 10. So that means I'm going to have to allocate these around. Well, we know that the 1 is in one of these 2, so let's not put the 1 there. Let's put the 3 there and the 4 there, just for the sake of exposition. Now, the point about this is that now these little vertices in row 8, that one, whichever one the 1 is, let's make that the 1. So that's going to have to be a 9. But all 3 of those have to be from 6, 7, 8 and 9. Because we've got to make sure that these adjacencies sum to at least 10. But what do we put on this little thing here? This is blowing my idea about symmetry amongst the triangles out of the water, because one of those digits must be high. It must be. Because if they were a 5 and a 4, for example, that's not going to add up to 10. So one of these digits is a 6, 7, 8 or 9. Now the weird thing about that is that means the other triangle, the spare triangle, that we haven't fixed the apex of in row 8, has a low digit on it. Ah, I've got it. I've got it. It's actually about 5s. That is very surprising to me. It's very beautiful as well. So, right, I've asked all the wrong questions here. I've asked all the wrong questions. So the question I should have asked, to be more precise, I started with a question in row 9 where I said, where are we putting the low digits, the 1, 2, 3 and 4? What I should have said, what would have been more sensible, is where do you put 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5? That would have been a really good question, because of course 5 is also quite a difficult digit here. And more to the point, you can never pair 5 up with a 3, a 2, a 1 or a 4 and make a domino that adds up to 10. So in fact, we know that this is going to be hugely powerful everywhere in this puzzle. It's going to be hugely powerful. That I've now realised that digit's got to be low. Because you can never pair up 5 with 1, 2, 3 or 4, you have to allocate this domino has to contain one low digit, that has to have one low digit, that has to have one low digit, that has to have one low digit, and that has to have one low digit. So if this was the sequence, we would know there was a 5 in one of these two cells. But we can go further than this by thinking about the apexes of the triangle now, because we know that the digits, the apexes that go with the 3 and the 4 and the 1 have to be high digits. I know there has to be a high digit on this string here. So the very highest digit I could put in this apex here would be 5. In other words, and this doesn't need... Well, yeah, actually this does work, this specific arrangement. But in other words, there is a triangle in the bottom 2 rows that has 2 5s on it, because wherever the 5 goes here, it's going to pair up with 5 and add up to 10. Now, if there's a triangle in the bottom 2 rows, let's just delete everything now, just for a moment. No, I'm not deleting the 2 or the 3. If there's a triangle in the bottom 2 rows that has 2 5s on it, it's not that triangle, because that will break the rules of Sudoku, and it's not that triangle, because that will break the rules of Sudoku. So it is one of these triangles that must have double 5 on it, which means that this is a 1. These 2 squares are a 1-5 pair, I think. That is so clever and so weird and surprising. And I have gone about this all wrong. It's taken me 25 minutes of nonsense. I'm so sorry. It's the hangover. It's the hangover. It's not the magic mushrooms. It's the hangover. Now, okay, so let me just go through that once more, just to make sure we're all on the same page. I have to allocate each of the digits 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 to these specific regions. That means that the apexes of these triangles have to be, well, they have to be from 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. We can say that, but we can also say that this one can't be double 5. This is another way of thinking about it. So that's got to take a high digit, which means there is an apex of one of these triangles which is a 5, and that has to combine with a low digit in one of the in one of the row 9 cells and add up to 10. So the only low digit that could possibly go with a 5 that must be in an apex is itself a 5, which means one of the triangles is has got double 5 on it, and we know that that must be one of the ones that doesn't sit within a single box. So that is my attempt at elucidating the logic. Now what that means though is that because, oh no, it's not 1, 5 here, because one of these, sorry, no, it's not, because one of these triangles has double 5 in these cells, and the other one has the 1 here and has double 9 in these cells can only be made up of 5s and 9s. One of these is a 1, but the other digit, oh, that's annoying. So one of these is a 1. The other digit is a high digit, actually, because we know that the low digits, we can't have 2 low digits. Because we've got a 5, we can't have another low digit, yeah. So it's got to, the one of these that's got 5 on it has to have at least a 6 in this position. So these squares have got to be from 6, 7 and 8. They can't have 9 because there's a 5, 9 pair in the row already. It's lovely, isn't it? It's just lovely. But it hasn't actually. Oh no, it has. It has done so. I've got a digit. Right, remember what we said? We said it was possible that the red squares in the bottom row were a 1, 2 pair. Well, it's not possible to do that anymore because we need one of these triangles to have double 5 on it. So the 2 has to live here because we can't put the 2 in a single box, because if we do, what do we have to do? We've got to do this, because we can't use 9. So that doesn't work. I'm starting to get my head around this. So now I've got a digit. I've got Now what have I got? I'm tempted to say we can re-perform all of this logic on the top row, but I'm just going to think about this for a bit longer. I'd love to know which way round these go, that's for sure. I don't quite know how we're going to learn that. And in the bottom row, I've got to put a 3 somewhere. So wherever the 3 goes, let's imagine there was a 3 over here. What's that allowed to have with it? It's allowed to have, it's going to have different digits because it's going to sit entirely within a box. And it can't have 9 on it. So there is going to be a 3 with a 7 and an 8 accompanying it. Okay, I don't see how to use that actually. And there's going to be a 4 in the other side. And the 4... the 4 could go with 6. Oh dear. No, okay, so now I'm getting a bit discombobulated. So, okay, let's think about this top row now, because I think we're going to be able... Well, the first thing to say is let's go through that logic that I just ran on the bottom row again. And so here what I'm thinking about is this domino, this domino, this domino, that cell, and this domino. I'm thinking about those as separate units. Now, because we've got to put 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 into the top row, each of those 5 units must contain one of those digits, because if we put 2 of them in, the maximum they could add up to is 5 plus 4, which is only 10, only 9, not 10. You know where I'm going. Now, therefore, is it this? It's weird that it's this tiny little line and this tiny little line that sort of break the world, but it's going to be the same thing. Oh, this is beautiful. I've now understood the top row. Where's the double 5? Oh, for goodness sake, Phistomefel. Ah, it's just beautiful. It's so clever. Okay, and I should have seen it more quickly, but as usual, didn't. Let's just do this. Let's continue with my logic. So we know that there's a low digit in each of these sort of units in the top row. We know that every triangle, therefore, every peak of a triangle, because it has to pair up with a digit that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 and add up to 10, must be at least equal to 5. So those we can instantly label up as having to be at least equal to 5. But we know this triangle, because it's in the same row, cannot have a 5 on it. So it must have a 6, 7, 8 or a 9 in one of these two positions. Therefore, there is a peak. One of these cells has to be a 5. Now, could we pair the 5 up with a low digit in its unit beneath, in its triangle? Of course not, because if we pair it up with 4, it will only add up to 9. Therefore, the 5 is paired up with 5 on the same triangle, and that has to be this triangle. I think that's got to be correct. I cannot see a flaw in that logic. Therefore, we can actually get rid of the 5s, because which of these triangles can have 2 5s on it? Well, the only one is this one. So that one has got double 5 on it, which means that we can get rid of 5s from these cells. We can get rid of 5s from these cells. We can put 5s into these cells. We know this is now the 1. This can't be a 1 because 1 needs double 9 on it, so that becomes the 1 in the top row. This square's not 1, so that's 6, 7 or 8. And all of a sudden, well, we know that's got to be at least 6. Although this one can't be 9 for Sudoku related reasons because of this 9 down here. Okay. So what does this now mean? This must mean that where's the next natural deduction coming from this beautiful start. It's got to be... I'm not sure whether it's going to be in the middle box, actually. 5 in the middle box has to be in one of those cells. 1 in the middle box cannot go there because that would be a 9. So that's not a 1. 1 is in one of these two positions. 2 in the middle box can't go... No, here we go. This is it. Right. So where does 2 go in the middle box? I don't think it can go in any of those 3 cells. Because if it does, let's try and put it there. We know these 2 have to be at least equal to 8, which means one of them is a 9, and it can't be. And it's worse if you do that. They've got to be an 8-9 pair, and that's going to break that cell as well. So actually, 2 in box 5 is in one of those 3 cells, which means that... I don't quite know how to pencil mark that, but there's definitely some 8s and 9s on this triangle. But I don't think we know where they live. 2 by Sudoku's got to go there, therefore. Ah, that can't be 5 then. Okay, so that's not 5, which means I've got a 1-5 pair in box 5. These 2's... Ah, this is lovely. Okay, this can't be 9 because there's a 9 here, so that must be 8 to make this adjacency add up to 10. This cell's got to be 8 or 9 because it's got to add up to 10 with that 2. Oh, and that's right. Okay, that has put pressure on this triangle now. Because that cell can no longer be 2, because that's going to put 8 and 9 in these 2 cells, which is going to mean there's 3 cells in box 5 that have 8 and 9 next to them, and that won't work. So the 2 is in one of the vertices of the big triangle. Okay, do we care which one of those it is? Well, we will at some point, but not at the moment. If that's a 2, that's an 8-9 pair. And if that's a 2, it's still an 8-9 pair. That is so peculiar. So now I've got an 8-9 pair here and here. What's going on? Okay, I've got an 8-9 pair. And... okay. So, well, now I'm wondering where 3 goes in this box. You just can't know. You can't put 3 on this other triangle now. Because if you do, if that's a 3, what are these 2 digits? They can't be 9s. So they've got to be 7s and 8s. And that's going to break that. If that's a 7-8 pair, that simply doesn't work with the 8s that already exist in row 5. And if we do it the other way round, this clearly doesn't work. If that's a 3, they have to be a 7-8 pair, and there's already an 8 in the box. So 3, I think, is in the same position as 2, which means we've got a 2-3 pair here. We've got loads of pairs in box 5, which means these squares have got to be 4, 6, 7. Which means that square has to be an 8, good grief. Which means in this column I've got a 1-3 pair to place. Well, which I can do, because that can't be a 1, because 1 would have to go with 9 on a line. So that's a 3, that's a 1. 3 has to go with a big digit that's not 9 there. That's got to be 7 or 8. That's not 8. 8, in fact, that's not 8 either. So I'm now wondering... I'm wondering about where I put 2 in the top row. Is that a silly question? 2 is on a triangle that lives solely within a box. So it has to have 2 different numbers. Yeah, so 2 has to go with 8 and 9. So that can't be a 2 on this bit. Yeah, I think that's just a straightforward question. Where does 2 go in the top row? Now if 2 goes here, it's got to have 8 and 9 with it on its vertices, and there can't be. That's impossible. So 2 must be in this triangle, which means this has got to be an 8 or a 9. And in fact, the digit that's accompanying the 2 in this domino can't be 8. So that's got to be a 2-9 pair going with 8, I think. And now, well, so now let's ask the same question about 3 in the top row. So 3 in the top row, if there was a 3 in here, what would it partner up with? It couldn't partner up with 8 on either triangle. So 3 goes with 7 and 9. Three goes with 7 and 9. But I don't think that's conclusive, is it? So 3 is going to go with 7 and 9, and then 4, let's imagine this one was 4. What's that going with then? That's got to go with... Oh, hang on, I'm getting confused now. Let's just put this in. If that's 3, whoa, not both of them. If that's 3, this cell can't be 9 or 8, so that's going to have to be 7 to get to 10. So this cell has to be 9. Now, there's then got to be a 4 in this domino. And in this row, 4 can only go with 6, which means this square is going to have to be a 7. Right, okay, so let's unwind this then. So what we've learnt from this is wherever the 3 and the 4 go, they never accompany a 6. In row 2, they always accompany a 7 and a 9. Now that's interesting, because now that means that this has to have a high digit on it, and that's got to be a 6. That's got to be a 6. Anyway. This has to be a 4-6 pair. It's definitely got a 6 on it. We need to get to 10. So we need to add at least 4 to it, and we can't add 5, we can't repeat the 6, we can't add 7, we can't add 8, and we can't add 9. So that's a 4-6 pair. Which is very annoying, because that feels like it should be resolved. Which means these squares are 2, 3, 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. So this is a 3. So this has somehow become a 1-2 pair in this row. This is weird. And that 1 tells me the order. So that's 1, that's 2. Okay. Have we done... Is that really useful or not? Oh, I can do some more stuff at the bottom. I've got 1s there and there, so the one of those is a 1. If I put 1 here, I've got to put 2 9s in there, so that's not going to work. That's got to be a 1. So there's a 1 in one of these 3 cells. Can you put a 1 on this line? You can if you put 9 on it, which would give us a 2 here and an 8 here. So you can never have the 1 here, because that will be a 9, and there's an 8-9 pair. So the 1 is in one of 2 places. 1, 9, 9, 9 in one of those 2 cells. Oh, okay. Right, let's come back to this row. Where does 2 go in this row? Because it can't go there, look. And it definitely can't go on the point of a triangle, because you're going to have to pair it up with 8 and 9 in the bottom row, and there's a 9 here. So 2 has to go here. So 2 has to go in one of these 3 cells by Sudoku. If 2 goes... No, 2 can't go here, because this can't be 8 or 9. So 2's in one of those cells, 2's in one of these cells, so 2's in one of those cells by Sudoku. Because obviously we've got this arrangement of 2's here, so we should be asking the question, where does 2 go in row 5? It can't go in any of those cells, look. Now if 2 goes here, this has to be 8 or 9, which would work with this, I think. Oh, look, 2, 2. So let's do this 2 logic again. Where does 2 go in column 7 now? It's got to go there. So now, what do we have to put into the rest of this row? We've got to put in 4, 6, and 4, 6, 7 or 8 actually. Hang on. 4. Oh, I know how to do this. I know how to do this, though. Remember what we said right a few minutes ago, just a mere trifle of minutes ago. We said that in each of the units across the bottom, and by units I mean this domino, this domino, this domino, and this domino, we have to allocate one of the digits 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So there has to be a 3 or a 4 in there and a 3 or a 4 in there. Now that means that the apex of these triangles can never be a low digit, so they can't be 4. And that means that's a 4 by the power of magic. Phistomefel magic. Which means that's a 6 and that's a 4. Which means that's a 6 by Sudoku in this box, which means this square is 7 or 8. I'm sure this is very important for the following reason, which is I don't know. Okay, can we not? There must be some clever trickery we can do here. Yes, I'll tell you what we can do here. Where does 4 go in this box? Because remember, although no, I'm misremembering what I said. I thought I said 4 couldn't go with 7 or 9 at its apex, but I'm now saying that 4 must go with 7 or 9 on the apex, because 4 needs to find a home in one of those. So what was the way around we did it? We said 3. 3 has to go. 3 can't go with 8 because 8 is unavailable on the triangles. So 3 is going to have to go with a 7 and a 9. And 3, so the 3 and 7, there's going to be a 3-7 pair here or here. And there's going to be a 9 with a 3 above it. So there's going to be a 7 above a 4 with a 6. Yeah, so the way to do this is not to think about the 4 in this box. The way to do it is to say this. Yeah, the way to do it is obvious. It's to do Sudoku. 6 has to be in one of these cells. There's got to be a 6 in one of those. We know 6 pairs up. From the logic we just did, 6 has a 7 here, because we need the 3 to have the 9, because the 3 has the 7 in this row. So this is 3, 7, this is 4, 6, this is now 3, 9 of all things. There's a 2, 3 pair here, so this is 7, this is 3, this is 8, this is 7, that is adding up to 10, so this looks like it still might be correct. We've got a 9, 8 pair here. We now know that digit is a 1. That's probably been available for ages. That's a 4. This is an 8. This is not an 8. And we need to put into these cells, we need to put 5, 6, and 7, I think. That's not 5. 6, 7 pair in this column. So these two squares are now known. They are 3, and I want to say 3 and 9, which is quite surprising. There's a little X-wing of 3s there, look, in those cells. So where does 3 go in row 5? It can't go in any of those 6 cells. So there's a 3 in one of these 3 cells. That's rather pretty. Look, that can't be a 3. Because if that's a 3, what on earth are we putting into those 2 squares? We need 2 digits that get us to 10. And we don't have them available. We could only put 7 in one of them. So that's not 3. Which actually means that's a 3 by the power of more Sudoku, because now we've got 3s aligning in columns 1 and 2. We can ask where 3 goes in this column. That's got to be a 3. Can you put 3 here? Only if that's a 7. Why doesn't that work? 3 here requires an 8, 9 or 7 there. You can't have 8 or 9. I'm not sure, but I can see those digits are now actually known. Look, they are... Oh, that's weird. They're 4, 6 and 7, which is the same as these. So... Right, so that's not 4, I'm going to claim. Because if that's 4, what do we put into those squares to add up to 10? We'll make that add up to 10, we need a 6 or a 7. To make this add up to 10, we need a 6 or a 7. So that digit becomes a 4 again, and that doesn't work. That's rather cute. So that's not 4. Can't remember what it is. So that's a 6 or a 7. But annoyingly, that can go with 4 in one of those two positions. So that's probably not done very... Oh, no, that can still be 3. Ah, no, right, I'm getting stuck now. Don't know what to do. Let us instead look at the bottom row, perhaps. Because I've got 1 and 2. I need to allocate a 3 and a 4 to these. And I can't allocate the 3 here. There's a 3 over here. And, oh, in fact, and that's 3 in the corner. That's 3 in the spotlight, losing its religion. 3 can't go with 6. 7 here means 3 goes with 8. So this is now a 6 by the power of maths, or I suppose not really maths, more Sudoku. What's that digit then? That digit has to add up to 10, and it can't be 9 or 8. So that's 7, that's 6, that's 7. These two squares are now 4 and something. 4 and 8, okay. That's not what I was anticipating, but they do indeed add up to 10 or more, so that's good. These squares have got to be 5 and 7 now. 7 is here, so this is 7. This is 5. The 6 here means that's 6. That's 4. That's 4, that's 8. So perhaps this digit is the key one. From a Sudoku perspective, that's got to be 2, 3, 5, or 9. It's not 9, so it's 2. It can't be 2, actually. If that's 2, it can't add up to 10 with 4, 6, or 7, so that's 3 or 5. Okay. I'm not sure if we can do better than that, can we? So what are these two digits will be where we're at. We've got to do 4 and 9 into those cells. No, actually maybe not. Oh dear, I'm getting stuck now. What is it that I'm missing? Maybe, well, it's likely to be Sudoku. I do accept that. Yes, okay, it is Sudoku. Where does 8 go in this box? It's got to go there. So now maybe this column, where we need 1, 3 and 9. Yes, that's got to be 1 or 3. So that's 1, 3 or 9. There's a 1, 3, 5 triple in this row now. Ah, that's beautiful. So that can't be 1, which means that's 1. What does that do? So this is not 1 anymore. So this is 1 in column 1, which means this is 1, this is 5, that's massive. That's become a 3. That must pair up with 7, which makes that 6 and that 4. 6. Okay, I don't quite know how that resolves. Let's just do some tidying up of pencil marks. 6. I think 6 can go with anything in these two squares. Okay, that 3 is forcing that to be 9, that to be 3, that to be 9, and those squares are a 2, 5 pair. So let's look at the central row then, where we need 2s, 4s and 7s into those positions. That's not able to be 7, so this has to be a high digit, and it can't be 7 or 8. So that's got to be 6 or 9. It can't be 9. There's a 9 in one of those. So that has to be 6, I think, which means it must pair up with 4, and that's going to do damage. 7, 6, 4. 6, 5 up here. 4, 9 down here, 9, 2 at the top, so this square has now become a 2, How are we resolving these? Right, let's try and get those digits in. We've got to boot 5s and 7s. Is that yes? Okay, so that's 7, that's 5, that's 5, that's 2, that's 2, that's 3, that's 3, that's 9. Wow, that is just so clever. That is so clever. It's what I mean, where do you start with just analysing how brilliant this is? If I got off on the right track, I think I could have solved this quite fast, because all you have to do is forget all the stuff I was doing down, the micro stuff around 1s and 2s, and just have the insight to ask where the low digits, including the 5, go in the bottom row and the top row. And the whole thing just falls out from that one thought. It's so beautiful that you can do it like that. It really is. And what's amazing as well is that these little lines, these 2 little lines here, are oh, you can't see them. Yeah, you can sort of see it if I make them yellow. Are profoundly important, because they force 5s to go on triangles, and in the top row especially, that actually means there's only one triangle you can use. It's just a joy. I mean, that puzzle that's one of my favourites, well, probably ever, but certainly of recent months. I think that is profoundly brilliant, Phistomefel. I absolutely loved it. I really did. Let me know in the comments how you got on. I do enjoy them, especially when they're kind. Be kind to Hungover Simon too. And we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.